for our local hospital, and to really provide stability and local excellence in healthcare for generations to come. And that's the purpose of our talk today. I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention that I think the recent events of Hurricane Francine has only put an exclamation point on what I believe is an intense community need to be involved in our healthcare delivery system and our local hospital for the future to come. And with that being said, I'd like to call forward our local Ochsner leader, Jennifer Wise, to say a few words before we get started.
Thank you, Dr. Cefalu. As he said, my name is Jennifer Wise. I'm the Chief Nursing Officer and the Hospital Administrator at Ochsner St. Mary. I'm proud to represent my hometown hospital. I'm proud to represent Ochsner and the partnership that began in October of 2019. We've worked really closely with the HSD on the needs that Dr. Cefalu would share with the group today. And we've come together on a comprehensive cooperative endeavor agreement that ensures the community investment, if passed, is spent as intended. I think that the future of healthcare within this community is solid with a partner such as Ochsner, and now we are tasked with maintaining the facility at 1125 Marguerite Street, which is our community asset. I was thinking that if you went to the AIC meeting, which was less than 2 weeks ago, you will have heard this same presentation, but Francine really put an exclamation point on what we're going to talk about here today. I want to express my sincere appreciation for not only the Hospital Service District, but for the local, the parish, and the state officials who have really stepped up to help us in this time, really, shedding a spotlight on the needs of this facility. I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Cefalu, but once he is finished with his presentation, I'm happy to answer any specific questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, we'll start off with a video that we prepared for you guys. Let's see if this one works this go around. Our hospital, Ochsner St. Mary, is the heart of healthcare in our community. We offer compassionate, comprehensive care. Our incredible, dedicated doctors, nurses, and staff make that heartbeat every day. We use advanced technology with a human touch to provide diagnostics, surgery, cardiology, emergency medicine, rehab, and much more. Ochsner St. Mary saves lives. Nationally recognized Ochsner Health operates the hospital, but we, the citizens of East St. Mary, own the facility. After 45 years, it needs major repairs. After this work, it will continue for years to provide the right environment for our patients and providers. We have a proposition on the December 7th ballot, which will fund major repairs and provide scholarships for local youth to attend medical or nursing school or other healthcare-related programs. They will return home to help our dedicated staff and patients. Our hearts are in what we do every day. Please vote on December 7th. Short and sweet. All right, jumping right into it. I like to start off with a little history just to give everyone a frame of reference for where we've been and where we intend to go. The original Lakewood Hospital opened with about 50 beds in 1955. Over a course of a few decades, we found ourselves in 1981 building the 7-story hospital that exists today. And at that time, and still currently, we have approximately 168 beds, 165 beds. That's a big facility. That's a lot of beds. And for the time that it was built, it was very much appropriate. Most, if not all, medical related issues were handled in the hospital. And so you needed a big facility to accommodate the population that we had at the time, and the fact that the healthcare delivery system was mainly hospital-based. And what's happened over time is that there's been this shift to where there's more outpatient care being provided. We do a better job. Medicine has evolved and progressed and improved to the point to where we need a hospital in that sense, less and less for some of those previously performed tasks. And so we have this 7-story facility, which is both a blessing and a curse in a way, in that we have the overhead, we have the infrastructure to maintain, but also we have opportunities that other rural areas may not have. In 2001, the Lakewood Hospital Board of Commissioners at that time transitioned to leasing the hospital to Providence Healthcare, who maintained the facility until 2019, when we negotiated the current lease with Ochsner. I'll also point out that throughout many of those years, we did have a millage in place. I believe early 2000s is when the millage was no longer collected upon, and there was some agreement with LifePoint and Providence at the time on maintenance needs, etc. But over this last several years, it's become clear that the model that works best, especially in rural areas in Louisiana, is where there's a partnership between both the community and a good operator. We have a fantastic operator who does an excellent job, who's world-renowned, providing excellent quality care. We need that community buy-in. We need that community support for our infrastructure, and to assist them in any way that we can to continue to provide that quality health care into the future. So Ochsner St. Mary, we know that Ochsner is a leader in the Gulf South. They have approximately 46 hospitals and 370 health and urgent care centers. And they have from day one brought a quality focus to our facility and to our patients. Do we need our facility? I mean, it goes without saying, but here are some numbers to prove that point. The answer is a resounding yes. We have performed over 46,000 outpatient procedures at our facility. Emergency room visits are about 25,000 a year, and that's probably where we kind of hover. Clinic visits, close to 10,000, and where I do most of my work, hospital inpatient discharges. We're talking about almost 6,500 hospital stays at the facility, and that's pretty dramatic. And if you don't have, right, if we don't have that access and that support structure there to serve as our local resource, other hospitals in the area have to absorb this. And right now, the infrastructure is such that they really can't. So progress with Ochsner, I could go on for quite a bit about the progress that we've all made together since Ochsner's come on board. I guess the biggest initial investment was the Epic software. Everyone has the My Chart on their phone, and again, it's a blessing to patients. Sometimes it occurs to me because every red flag I get a question about on the office visit, but it served as a good resource, and people need to have access to their healthcare information. And when they go to other facilities or out of town, out of state, they have that at their fingertips. And that was a huge initial investment. Multi-millions of dollars were invested in that, and also in the facility to get it to Ochsner standards when they initially arrived. We've also added new providers. We have new primary care providers. We also have teleneurology, which we utilize for stroke evaluations in the emergency department and otherwise, also for consults. We have a new urologist who recently started as well, and we have endocrinology. All new service lines that have been instituted since Ochsner arrived. They've also expanded hours. I know one of the big things for a lot of women was access to mammograms after hours, picking up kids and those types of things. They expanded hours to accommodate them as well, and that's served us very well. And even with those additions, they're still actively recruiting. A lot of people don't realize the multitude of services that we have. When we go over some of these with some of our local citizenry, they're surprised by all the resources that we have within our local hospital, from cardiology, endocrinology. Psychiatry is a big one. We have a great inpatient psychiatric unit, which is full, and they're looking to do some outpatient psychiatry as well, which is going to be a huge benefit to our local community. And also, I'll say this about Ochsner specifically. I think a lot, especially in rural areas, medicine's changing. We're having to adapt to the fact that there are so few providers and such a high need. And telemedicine is filling a lot of those gaps for us. And Ochsner has a very robust telemedicine service line that we benefit from every day. We have ICU doctors that can evaluate patients in the ICU to give us guidance. They were very instrumental during the pandemic. Infectious disease specialists helped us integrate different treatment plans as things evolved, which they evolved quickly. And so we were on the cutting edge of treatments because of that. And the future, I believe, is going to be more of a telemedicine-based specialties for these really high specialized fields for a rural area to tap into. They would do so through a telemedicine service line, which Ochsner already has the infrastructure. Ochsner's emergency department. So we're top 10%. The emergency department has a great staff. They work very well together. They provide phenomenal care. I'm in there quite a bit, trying to stay out their way, but they have done for many years an excellent job, and that's just here recognized by the fact that they are in the top 10% with door-to provider times. Where the national average is 30 minutes, they're at 11.7. So we do a good job. Rankings. So outpatient services, Ochsner ranks in the top 2%, clinical services top 5%. And the Leapfrog Hospital National Safety Grade, this was a big one that even just prior to Ochsner coming on board, we had done a lot of work internally to try to improve our safety scores. This means a lot to us as clinicians, doctors, nurses, and staff, that we're able to ensure patients that when they come into our facility, that they're safe, that they're not going to be at increased risk for acquiring an infection as a result of something that we did not do as well as we should. And so I encourage everyone to look those scores up. We've done well for quite some time and continue to improve upon our areas where there needs to be some improvement. We fairly consistently had A+ ratings for many years. With that being said, I'll turn it on to Angelina Bricata to carry on the conversation.
Thanks. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Angelina Bricata, and I'm a member of your HSD number 2 board as well. And I'm going to pick up with the economic impact of Ochsner St. Mary on our community here in East St. Mary Parish. Our community needs this hospital, and right now our hospital really needs its community to take care of it. And we're going to see just how much of an impact the hospital has on us here. We need every dollar possible to be spent here in St. Mary Parish, and we don't want to see that diminish. We want to see that grow. That affects all of us. So you can see here that the and people that it employs is 250. That is significant. The amount of money in salary and benefits, $24 million. Regional economic benefit, $97 million. That is immense. Nothing to just snub your nose at, for sure. Local vendor purchases, $3.3 million. Medicaid and charity care, $95 million. Parish and state taxes paid, $385,000. Again, we need every dollar possible to be spent here in our parish of St. Mary. Let's talk about the relationship between Ochsner St. Mary and this community. I've spoken at multiple city council meetings so far within the last year, because this has been an ongoing process of focus groups and community surveys. This is not just a brand new idea that we've come upon. This is something we've committed a lot of work and effort to over some bit of time. And one thing that I realized that really stood out is that whether it be a layperson in the community or if it was a civic or community leader, there aren't very many people who understand this relationship. And that is that we as a community own that hospital, the structure. Ochsner St. Mary leases that from us. So we are the ones that own that building. We are the ones responsible for its maintenance, for taking care of it. As it was mentioned before, we haven't had a millage in over 20 years. We've had no community monetary support in over 20 years. And there are no other hospitals, which I'm sure is going to be touched on in a moment, But there are no other hospitals in the state of Louisiana that exist without the support of a millage and without the help of rural health care designation and without critical access. And that's exactly where we find ourselves right now. So that community support is incredibly important. You see here that Ochsner Health leases the facility from us, and we are its owners. We are the ones responsible for taking care of it. Ochsner operates it and is responsible for the personnel, the services, and maintenance to a degree. But the maintenance that is required in our hospital right now far surpasses that amount. And Ochsner has stepped up and has surpassed that amount in how much they've committed to our hospital as well. But you can see here who's responsible for what, and that we have a cooperative endeavor agreement with Ochsner Health. That Ochsner has invested $15 million into our facility since 2019. I said what they've committed to our hospital for its maintenance and improvements far surpasses what they were required to do, and there's that number for you right there. And we as a community, as an HSD, are responsible for the maintenance of that building. The facility needs significant investment. And this is a maintenance tax that we're looking at to help the clinicians to continue to offer quality care. And it's in addition to the maintenance itself where this part comes in, to help clinicians to continue to offer that quality care, to keep clinicians and patients safe and healthy in the future, because we're already doing that in the present. We want to continue that quality of care. To attract and recruit more physicians. The millage doesn't only provide for its maintenance, which is our utmost concern at this point in time. As it's already been mentioned, there's our situation has been illuminated by Hurricane Francine. So the millage is for that. It is also to recruit new physicians. I think that we all would like to see definitely holding on to services that we have, but also to see where we can grow. What else can we provide here in our incredible facility of Ochsner St. Mary now? And to improve the patient experience. We want to be able to commit dollars to renovating the emergency room lobby, et cetera, which we'll talk about in a moment. But we want the community to see their dollars at work, not just us know that they're being put to work, but to have a cosmetic upgrade as well so that people can see how their dollars are being spent. And we, as I mentioned, this is work that we've been at for quite some time. We've conducted focus groups, and this next part right here was something that really resonated within the focus groups. They couldn't stop talking about this part. This really drove it home for them. When you think about our building being 45 years old, and you compare it to owning a home, and the expectations you would have of maintenance and improvement on owning a home. And that's how we have to look at our structure of a hospital. That of course, a home that's 45 years old, you would expect to have replaced the roof 2 to 3 times. You would have expected to remodel your kitchen and bathrooms. Your HVAC would have needed to be replaced by now, and appliances needing to be replaced. That's where we are. We are a 45-year-old building that needs us to take care of it. And we do, as an HSD, have Grace Abear Curtis conduct an assessment, an architectural assessment for us each year. We review that with them. We do walkthroughs at the building with Ochsner St. Mary and look at what our priority, the highlighted in red items are, and then we move down from there. And right now, our building, the highlighted in red areas, the parts we really need to pay close attention to are the building needs major repairs. Equipment. There are certain pieces of equipment that are at the end of their life, and the HVAC system needs to be replaced. With regard to Hurricane Francine illuminating an issue, this is one of them. Moisture being the enemy. The infrastructure investments that this millage would provide for would help to keep our facility dry and the temperature controlled. Sealing, we need to seal the building's envelope. That's where a lot of our water intrusion comes from. The entire envelope of the building needs to be sealed. Replacing and upgrading all windows in the entire hospital to be both hurricane resistant and energy efficient. And we need to replace the roof flashing. I've mentioned about the HVAC system and it needing to be replaced. The current system, as I mentioned, is at the very end of its lifespan. An efficient new system would help keep that moisture out that we've already deemed as an enemy. The current system struggles to maintain the optimal temperatures that we need within the facility. And so far, to help mitigate some of these issues, Ochsner has been providing and supplementing with portable systems throughout. So that's a building envelope, new HVAC, and other upgrades. And the totals that we are coming up with are approximately $17 million. Patient experience, as I mentioned, we want our existing patients, people who are at the hospital right now, to feel that experience is being enhanced. We want them to see their dollars and feel their dollars at work and hear their dollars at work. So the ER needs patient and family area upgrades. The ER entrance needs replacement. The main lobby and the entrance need upgrades as well. That's that first impression right when they walk in the door. It's not only necessary, but it's desired. And we need to renovate the patient rooms as soon as funding allows. Another element of what this millage can provide for is addressing our healthcare staffing shortages, which we all know is an issue, and is most especially in rural areas. It's very hard to recruit and attract, no matter how great our operator is. It's really difficult to attract and recruit new physicians, new healthcare employees to come to this area. So this millage would also assist in providing for scholarships for medical students, for nursing students, and other healthcare related careers. The St. Mary HSD and Ochsner Hospital has been working together with community support to recruit the local youths, and that's part of what this millage is going for. Local youths want to come home to work, and we want our hometown men and women coming home to take care of us as well. It serves everyone when we can recruit from the pool of brilliant, intelligent, hardworking men and women right here in St. Mary Parish.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Bill Bourgeois. I am legal counsel for Hospital Services District Number 2. To follow these two. So to amplify what's been said before, 90% of rural hospitals in Louisiana have community investment. And we are here in Morgan City in a very tough, difficult middle market. We have no critical access designation. We have no supplemental funding from being in the Rural Hospital Coalition, and we've had no millage. The last tax that was passed was in 1995. It rolled off in early 2000. Bayou Bend is critical access in Hospital Service Number 1. They have a 13.1 mil tax to sustain their operations. I have a hospital client up in Franklin Parish. It's run by the HSD. It has to have a maintenance tax to exist. I have another client up in Union Parish. It exists basically as a hospital service district to collect the tax and to transfer that money via a cooperative endeavor agreement to a nonprofit to run the hospital. This is just the fact really of healthcare operations today. The margins are so slim, there really has to be community investment. So we are asking to restart, essentially, the former 9 mil assessment to generate $3.4 million per year within our hospital service district. Franklin has 13.1. They need that in the geographic boundaries of hospital service district number 1. We can get by here reasonably, we believe, with 9. And the term is for 10 years. And this affects only voters and only residents from the Calumet Cut east to Amelia. Originally, we had Hospital Service Number 1 on the west side of the parish, Hospital Service Number 2 on the east side. Back in the 60s, the late 60s, the residents of Berwick, Bayou Vista, and Patterson carved out Hospital Service Number 3. They built Fairview Hospital. That was probably ill-advised. It didn't really last. It's been shut down. The hospital service has been deactivated, and the parish council has reconstituted Hospital Service District Number 2 back to its original geographic boundaries. When individuals ask, well, what does this mean to me personally? Well, we asked the assessor, what's the average home value in Louisiana? We got told it's $125,000. So for the average homeowner in the eastern part of the parish, it's $45 on a $125,000 house. And with the this chart, you can see what the annual fee would be to each homeowner. And today, you know, given what cost of a meal is, this is essentially, you know, going out to dinner with a couple, you know, it's really not a significant amount. Why? We need to have this millage to attract more physicians. You've heard about that. Nowadays, graduates of medical school, graduates of residency programs are looking at quality of life. They don't want to come to a small town and be on call all the time. They'd rather be in a bigger group where they can take call, you know, a few days a month, be in a group of 4 or 5 or something like that. So it's harder to get people here, so we basically have to pay more to get people here. We want to be able to do that. We want to offer scholarships. We want to see Ochsner and assist Ochsner offer as many services as we can commercially reasonably offer to the community. We don't want to have services cut. We want those services that we can reasonably have. We'll never have a neurosurgeon in Morgan City. We just don't have the population. But we ought to be able to have, we believe, orthopedics and others to take care of us and our families. And so we believe that we will be able to assist Ochsner in keeping it fully staffed with qualified people and be able to recruit people here and participate in recruitment with the millage. People have asked, how does this process going to work? Well, as Jennifer mentioned, we already have a signed cooperative agreement between Ochsner St. Mary and the HSD, and it's basically a supplemental funding document, and it says basically that if this tax passes December 7th, all of the funds will come to the HSD. The HSD will then meet at least annually, or as often as necessary, and decide on what's needed and prioritize that and decide how it's going to be spent. We will agree on that and then spend the money either directly ourselves, if that's the best way to go, or if it's best to fund the money through Ochsner. Big facilities like Ochsner have GPO buying power. They buy so much that they can get super prices far better than a smaller group can get, so it makes sense sometimes to funnel the money that way. But the HSD is in control, and we will see to it that the money gets spent as agreed upon. And we have this tax proposition language to be as broad as reasonably possible, so we can take care of any eventuality, whether it's operations, equipment, building repairs that we know we need, and that sort of thing. And to expand on that a little bit more about Grace Abear, we retained an architectural firm that does probably more hospital work than anybody else in the state. They have come in, done a top to bottom review on an annual basis, given us a report about these are the things that are critical, these are the things that are urgent, these are the things that you're going to have to anticipate spending money on in the next 5 years. So we've done this very thoughtfully and reasonably, and we think that the 9 mills tax is sufficient to take care of our needs. It will also help us with capital outlay requests and other things. You may have heard of the need for matching funds, but if we want to pursue certain grants, if we want to try to request capital outlay money and get other funds brought into the community, we have to have some funds on our own to pay our matching share, whether it's 25% or 20% or whatever. So we want to be able to leverage those funds. The levy district has done that very well for the community, where it's tax. It has been able to get grants, pay matching funds, get capital outlay, get other stuff, and magnify that community investment. And we want to be in a position basically to do the same thing. And the election is December 7th. Early voting begins November 22nd to Saturday, November 30th. We used to say vote early and vote often in some places, but now we just want to say vote early. And
a lifelong resident and physician, I have seen the ups and downs of our hospital. We now have nationally recognized Ochsner Health, who provides many services and specialists. But our community owns the hospital facility, and it's time for some major upgrades.
We're asking citizens to invest 9 mills this year the same amount they paid in the past, so our facility will last for years to come. Please vote on December 7th or early vote November 22nd to the 30th.
So, Hurricane Francine has definitely emphasized the needs that we have. Rest assured, we are working cooperatively with Ochsner to diligently pursue any and all funding as we get through this. We're trying to dot the I's and cross the T's in connection with making FEMA requests. We recognize and understand the responsibility to preserve, protect, maintain our facility for us now and for future generations. We believe that it's a really solid building. It just needs some work. And we believe that this tax is absolutely necessary for us to continue to have hospital healthcare services here in the community. And we appreciate the partnership with Ochsner. With that, that concludes our presentation, and we open it up for questions. Questions? Yes, sir.
I have two questions that I'm being asked. One, what is the projected percentage that will go towards maintenance at the beginning, and the projected percentage that will go towards recruitment and or scholarships?
So I think that's a really good question. That's a board decision, but I can tell you that we know we've got significant maintenance needs, so I suspect we're going to spend the bulk of it on maintenance and repair and set aside some for recruitment.
Yes, I completely agree with that. We have building needs, infrastructure needs that are significant. It's going to take us years, I believe, to catch up, to really get the hospital buttoned up, so to speak. We have some money now that we can certainly utilize towards those, scholarships and whatnot. But vast majority will have to go to the building initially.
Yeah, and so to add to that, after December 7th, once the election occurs and the tax is passed, then the board will have the ability to bond that money. And so we believe that's probably likely. And so that means we will access as much of that as necessary to take care of the building as prudently as possible, and then pay back that money as the tax rolls in.
That was the second question. Then I started more. Then you can recruit more money.
Right, and we want to leverage our situation now and maximize reimbursement. And we're working with Ochsner on that very topic. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I guess mine's a two-part question. Number one, what's going to happen if it doesn't pass?
So if it doesn't pass, I think that, I mentioned this last time, I think of the Roadrunner cartoon, unfortunately, and Wile E. Coyote has to go back to the drawing board. We'd have to figure out why. I can't imagine it not passing. We have done surveys, we've done focus groups, and I think the overwhelming majority of folks understand that once they hear that we own the facility and we haven't had a maintenance tax and don't have one, they're overwhelmingly in favor of it. And they're also in favor of us having medical, nursing, and allied health scholarships so that our children and grandchildren can afford to go to college and avail themselves of those scholarships and return here like Dr. Cephalou returned back to Morgan City, because we want local folks to have that opportunity to come here. So I think it has to pass. It's hard for us to go to the state, to the parish, to the feds, and ask them to help us if we won't help ourselves. So we have to have community investment, and I think that's just kind of an absolute.
Second part of my question, what guarantees does the parish have and the citizens of East St. Mary have from Ochsner to actually bring more services? Because that was the commitment they made when they came in 2019, that they had interchangeable and there would never be a shortage, because if they were credentialed with one hospital, they could come to this hospital. But we've seen only a decline totally in services. See, y'all mentioned PEDS and OB, which we know we don't really have PEDS or OB at the hospital.
Well,
so what guarantee are they going to give if we make a $17 million investment to refurbish the hospital, which I actually think it does need to happen. But what guarantee do we have from the Ochsner side that it's actually going to take place?
I think the guarantee that we have is we got the CEA, and we're going to transfer money as agreed upon. So in other words, we're going to agree upon repairs and transfer money. If we agree on recruitment, we'll transfer funds. It's sort of like, if you've got the funds in hand, then you have the authority to decide how those are going to be transferred. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I do. And I think overall, when you look at in its totality, I think more services have come than left. We obviously still have work to do, but a lot of this is the challenges that are facing rural hospitals across the country. This isn't isolated to us. Everyone's struggling to compete for that very limited pool of resources, physicians and otherwise, to bring them, especially to small towns, is very difficult. So it's not just bringing people here, it's creating an infrastructure that will allow for that. Number one, that's step one. We got to lay the foundation. We don't even have the foundation laid to have a safe, functional building that can then do those things. So we have to do that first. And then secondly, we're going to have to work collectively with them to find things that make sense, because it's getting, like you mentioned, hard to get people to rural areas. And so we're going to have to get creative. We're going to have to get creative through telemedicine. We're going to have to get creative through utilizing, like Dr. Saltzman, our urologist, who comes one day a week from St. Anne, I believe. So those are the types of things that we're going to have to do for the future. But I think overall, we've certainly benefited and grown versus decline. That's my view.
And I think of wound care as an example. Wound care now didn't have that before. I benefited from that. We had a family member that needed wound care. We didn't have to drive to Baton Rouge every week. And so, I mean, we got, we want as many services here as we can reasonably have, and we're emphasizing that with Ochsner every day. Yeah. And so, and we've been asked about how long the term is. Our lease is the original lease is for 10 years with 2 5-year options. And our hope is that continues, and that the lease continues, and that we don't have issues with the tenant saying we just can't afford to be in this building anymore. It's just cost prohibitive. So we want to remove that as an issue. Yes, sir.
So what I'm hearing is we almost at the point of no return, right? So if this needs to pass.
This has to pass.
The tax, yes.
Yes. If it doesn't, then we're in a situation where it's only negative. We're in a slippery slope.
And hopefully, to reiterate what Doc says, Ochsner understands that, yeah, we're going to come through and we're going to get you the money. But we just got to make sure you hold up to your end too, right? It's a two-way street. The money will be there. It's got to be a two-way street.
Yeah, no, without question. And look, from Jump Street, they have done more than their fair share. They did that when they initially came in with the initial investment. They have never let quality be altered because of a leak somewhere or what have you. They've expended well over what they're required to by the lease. So they made that commitment up front, and they've held that. They did that through COVID as well. We never had to go begging for anything. They just brought it. So being part of that larger organism, so to speak, has completely benefited us, and they've never allowed quality to be compromised. So they've operated in good faith over and over and over. Have we had challenges? Sure. But they've operated in good faith. They put their money where their mouth is. They continually have come through. It's time for us to do our part of that. If we want to be successful, neither of us can do it alone. We have got to step up. And now's the time, because we don't have much time to waste, to be honest.
And all of you are leaders in the community, and so we want you to understand fully and appreciate this so that you can share with the rest of the community exactly how serious this is. Yes, sir.
Quick question. Where's the assessment area? Like what areas would vote for this?
So basically, it's from the Wax Lake outlet east.
Patterson,
so,
Amelia.
Calumet, Patterson, Bayou Vista, Berwick, Morgan City, Amelia. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
With locations like Stevensville, Bayou Lewis, would that
So those are in our catchment area. I mean, those entities do use the hospital. They are not currently in the hospital service district. They are not, going to be voting on this. It would take parish government action from Assumption Parish and St. Martin Parish to have them create, that area as part of our hospital service district. It's theoretically possible. Practically, it's difficult politically, and it would slow things down. So, yes.
So I don't think anyone here disagrees with the need to have the hospital. I mean, it's a huge economic development driver, but also just having a healthcare facility here attracts people to live here. I guess I'm curious to the investment that's going to be made through the millage. What long-term cost savings would that present to the hospital service district with these newer and improved facilities?
So that's I guess a challenging question because it in part asks unknowns. In Franklin they have a relatively new hospital by comparison. They got low interest loans to build the hospital. They have critical access designation, and they have community support. We here have an older facility, and those of you that know me, I grew up here. I remember well hearing the piles being driven. I worked for Acadian Ambulance Service back in the 80s, and I transported patients here. I transported patients on the roof from flying in from offshore. It took me a while to wrap my head around the fact that this is not a new facility. It was opened in about 81, and it's got serious needs. We got to have a community. I know but what's the alternative? We got to have a hospital for the community. With the alternative, we really can't afford to build a new one. This one is fine. We're on track by having these architectural and engineering assessments that tell us very specifically what we need to do. So we have we believe a good plan to approach the problems that we have. It just takes funds, and so. We have to have a community. The businesses in the community really want us to have a hospital. When you got employees that get hurt on the job, you got family members. We want people to be able to, we want to be able to recruit employees for our bigger employers especially. And you got to have health care. I know what it's like to need a hospital and be in the nowhere and not have a doctor or a hospital. It's not where you want to be. So we need good schools. We need levee and flood protection. We need, police and law enforcement. We need health care. I mean, it's just sort of basic to the community. So this is a critical need. We all just need to, band together and be supportive, I believe. Yes, sir.
Once passed, would labor and delivery services be looked at? Possibility?
So we've obviously labor and delivery. Can you hear me? So just to give you a frame of reference, labor and delivery services in rural areas is a challenge everywhere. It's been very, very difficult throughout the country. You'll hear about these obstetric deserts, is what they call them. We don't technically fall within a desert, but it's a challenge. And the challenge is, to the point Bill alluded to earlier, is it's hard to get people to rural areas, and especially in a field like obstetrics, you have to have a group, preferably a large group, to limit the call exposure, because the call is overwhelming. As you know, when the baby comes, they don't care what you're doing, you got to show up. And so to create that infrastructure is extremely difficult. And what's happened, because we did our own research on this, what's happening across the country is what Ochsner really has done, which is a bigger system picks a location that's going to serve as a hub for deliveries, and then everything feeds it. That's the most cost-effective way to do it. What they have done since OB was discontinued is they have brought providers from St. Anne who provide outpatient OB care. So since we no longer deliver within the facility, local residents who are expecting, women who are expecting, can have access to that prenatal and postnatal care and then go to St. Anne for the delivery. selfishly, yes, I would have loved for Ochsner to choose Ochsner St. Mary as that hub, but that's their decision. Those are their dollars, that's their infrastructure. They know it well. They made that call. And so our focus has always been, well, what can we do to support the best secondary option for our residents? And it's having those providers come from St. Anne has been a huge support for Dr. Price, and directing those patients to St. Anne for deliveries is the current model that we have in place.
Is there a possibility for pediatrics without obstetrics?
Yeah, we do. I mean, we do have pediatrics still. There's limitation on age of admission just because of the need. There's some limitation on age, but we do have pediatric admission capabilities. 18 months and older.
One more comment.
Yeah, Angie has something to say.
Just really quickly, I just wanted to add on, when we presented to AIC, one of the biggest post-presentation questions we had was, how are you getting the information out there? How are you dispersing it? Because clearly we hear this and we're fired up. We know what needs to be done. We need action now. This has to pass. There's no turning back. How is the information getting out there? Well, as I mentioned earlier, and I think all of us have, we've been at this for quite some time. This isn't brand new. For us, there's been focus groups, community surveys, et cetera. We've solicited the services of one of the top-rated communications teams in the state who specifically work on hospital millage campaigns. So we have, great production value videos. There's going to be a robust social media campaign. We're going to be making visits and presentations throughout the municipalities to community and civic organizations, all through East St. Mary. So if your organization would like a presentation, please feel free to reach out and follow up, because the information needs to be out there to both civic community leaders as well as the layperson in our community.
And if you have any questions that you didn't want to raise here, if you hear of questions or concerns in the community, please let us know so we can address those. We don't want questions or concerns to go unanswered. We want everybody to be comfortable with this and understanding of it and supportive. We also have fact sheets out front for you. So on the way out, feel free to take those and review them and distribute them as please. And thank you so much for your attention and cooperation.
Yes, thank you all very much.